Welcome to episode 3 of Lifting with MS. For those of you who are tuning in for the very first time, I'll do a quick introduction. My name is Thomas. I'm a bodybuilder, a fitness coach, entrepreneur, and a public speaker. I know it seems like I have my hands in a few different buckets, but I can tell you right now, all those buckets lead towards one source of water, and that is focusing on my quality of life. And for those of you who are tuning back in, you're a rock star. Super excited for you. This episode is going to be done a little bit differently. However, it's something that I'm more comfortable doing, and I feel like it's just going to be better overall. And this also will allow you guys to kind of have an idea. Maybe it can pop some questions in your head. So I have 4 questions written down. These are questions that I get asked quite a bit. I get asked a lot of different questions at the events that I speak at, the interactions that I have with other people on social media. But I picked 4 that I wanted to go over and address for people with MS and also people in the fitness industry or bodybuilding, because maybe my perspective can help you. So we're going to read these 4 questions, and then we're going to circle back to them, starting from question 1 all the way to question 4, and I'm going to answer them. So I'm going to read these out loud. Number 1, how do you decide whether to train, modify, or rest on days when MS symptoms flare up? Question number 2, what's the biggest challenge you face in the gym during a flare-up, and how do you mentally push through it? Question number 3, how has MS changed the way you look at progress, consistency, and showing up? What message would you give to someone with MS who feels discouraged about starting or even staying consistent on their fitness journey? These are super awesome questions. So we're going to dive right into question number 1. I'll repeat it. How do you decide whether to train, modify, or rest on days when MS symptoms flare up? The first part about this question that I want to address is, what is a flare-up? Some of you may know what a flare-up is. Some of you may have no idea what a flare-up is. Some of you may have a different view on what a flare-up is. So I'm going to explain what a flare-up means to me. So with MS, we have relapses, and then we also have pseudo-relapses, and then I believe we have flare-ups. So a flare-up to me is where maybe 1 or 2 symptoms kind of arise and are just really affecting me for the day, maybe a day or 2. But these are symptoms that I'm familiar with. They're not new symptoms. If you're experiencing new symptoms, you should probably go see a doctor, because that's falling into the definition of a relapse. So now that we understand what a flare-up is to me, we can address this question. So how did I know whether to train, modify, or rest on days that I was having a flare-up? On days that I was having a flare-up and I decided whether I was going to train or rest really boiled down to one thing. And it was, can I make it to the gym? Because if I can make it to the gym, I'm going to train. If I couldn't make it to the gym, I'm going to rest, which then leaves that middle part, modify. So on a flare-up, there could be different symptoms that I'm experiencing, but most commonly the flare-up or the symptoms that I experience are vertigo, fatigue, spasticity, pins and needles. Like if your arm falls asleep, just imagine that kind of like all over. But most of the time it's like one specific area. And for me, it happens a lot like in my face and kind of like the left side of my body. So how would I modify? Well, there was a few different ways. So if I had to train legs and I was feeling pins and needles in my left leg or spasticity or anything that would really kind of jeopardize my performance of that training session, I wouldn't train that muscle group because I don't want to hurt myself. Okay. So it just boils down to, if this leg is already telling me it's got issues going on, whether that's neurological or not, I don't really know if I trust that to try and hack squat or, deadlift or anything like that. So we're just not going to do that. We're going to move on to something that I'm not really feeling, or I feel like I have a lot more control in. So if I can control my arms today, we're going to focus on that. So that's kind of like the first basic way that I would modify dealing with my symptoms. The other thing is if I had to train my back and my back felt fine, but my grip strength was just not there for the day because of my left hand, I have different lifting gear that I use. Like there's wrist or lifting straps, like things like that. And I would learn and adapt and modify the movement to accomplish what I was trying to do. So if I would do a row, we have these really cool lifting straps that are kind of like a figure eight. And basically I would just put the loop around my hand. I'd put it around the handle of the machine and then just loop it right back around. So that way, like, my grip strength is like, you really don't need a whole lot of it because I'm using my back to pull the handle. So there was a few different ways to modify. If you have MS or any kind of limitations that you don't know how to modify these movements, again, I do online coaching and whatnot, and I'm very familiar with that. So feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to help you feel more confident or just educate you on some different variations that we can do to get your goals accomplished. So a little plug in there for my online coaching. But anyway, we're going to move on to question number 2. What's the biggest challenge you face in the gym during the flare-up? Or sorry, what's the biggest challenge you face in the gym during a flare-up, and how did you mentally push through it? Okay, so the biggest challenge that I face during a flare-up, the golden challenge, is fatigue. And when I say this, like, people think that it's just like, oh, like, your body's telling you need more sleep. Wrong. I slept a lot. And I even took a 4-hour nap, and guess what? I'm still tired. So it's just one of those things where chronic fatigue is very different than like regular fatigue. And I'm not saying like if someone's like super tired that, they have it worse. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying like chronic fatigue is just a different beast. Okay. And you have to learn how to know when to listen to it, how to navigate the waters, how to work with it and not fight it. And sometimes you just do have to push through it. It's literally, I'm sorry, but it's real. Okay. It can't be the thing that's going to stop you from doing every single thing in your life. And I know it's hard. Trust me. I know. I live with it too. So how did I mentally push through it? So the way that I'm going to explain this, and this could even be for someone who doesn't have MS, you just are dreading going to the gym. Okay. I have fatigue. So if I have a day, I'm having a flare up, my fatigue is at an all-time high. I know I need to go to the gym. How am I thinking about this? Well, I can tell you right now, standing there, knowing everything that I got to do for the day, it is like a long road in the desert, and I can't see the end of it. Okay. And we all know we got to make it to the end. The only way that you're going to get there is by at least taking a step. So mentally, that is how I got through my fatigue with training. If I can make it to the gym, that was step 1. Look at the plan that my coach sent me. Step 2, each set, rep, rest is a step. Set 1, I had to do, bicep curls for 10 reps. Okay, just get 10 reps done. That's a step. Coach says rest for 60 seconds between sets. Step 2. Like, it's literally, that's how I looked at it. And then I would just keep doing that through my entire training. And then I was done. I'm like, okay, my next step, get home. Next step, cook a meal. I looked at it as steps, not this giant thing of a day, because that right there, once you feel overwhelmed and overstimulated, my gosh, if you have chronic fatigue, feeling overstimulated or overwhelmed while battling a fatigue episode, it's terrible. So I break it down into steps. Question number 3. How has MS changed the way you look at progress, consistency, and showing up? I love this question. So how has MS changed the way you look at progress, consistency, and showing up? The one thing about MS for me that some people don't really understand how I can say this or why I say this is MS is the one thing that wasn't supposed to happen in my life, meaning like I did not expect this. It was not something that was even on my radar. And yet I've learned to love how my life has changed being diagnosed with it. I've learned to love myself unconditionally. I have learned to love who I am. I've learned to love life in the moment and cherish memories and time with my family and friends. So MS is taught me and changed the way that I look at showing up by showing up for myself. I know that sounds selfish, but hear me out. I used to always be like helping others or showing up and doing the extra thing and working the longer hours or something. Like, I would always just try and show up for other people all the time. But at the end of the day, I still felt defeated. I still felt like something was missing. And it wasn't until after I had MS that I realized I was missing showing up for myself. I was like, when was the last time like I asked myself, hey bro, are you good? Do you need a breather? Do we need to go on a hike? Like, MS taught me and changed the way that I look at showing up for myself is just as important, if not more important, than showing up for others sometimes. Because if you can't show up for yourself and take care of who you are, how do you expect to show up for others and take care of them? So that's kind of how MS changed my perspective on showing up, was it's okay to show up for yourself. The other one is consistency. This is like such a teeter-totter with the answer, because consistency in MS is almost like in tug of war. Because with MS, every day could look different. Each day looks different. You could have a different symptom. You could be battling fatigue one day and then vertigo the next, and then you could be completely fine. And like people are like, you don't even look like you have MS, and you're like, I know, but I do. So it's just one of those things where consistency and MS are so hard because they almost feel like they shouldn't be in the same sentence. If you have MS, you get it. If you have an autoimmune, you understand. Consistency is just like, what? Is that even like really a word that we know? I'm autoimmune. Yes. So the way that MS has changed the way I look at consistency is, how do I adapt to be consistent? Perfect example is on the days that I couldn't make it to the gym, I still wanted to feel productive and feel like I was moving forward towards my goal that I had at hand. My goal being a bodybuilder was I was going to step on stage and I was going to take a medal home. That was my goal. And in order for me to do that, I needed to train. I needed to eat my meals. I needed to recover. I needed to do these things to make that even possible. So on the days that I was required to train via the plan that I had with my coach and I couldn't make it to the gym, after I mentally beat myself up about it and then realized, no, dude, like you literally can't get there. Give yourself some grace. I would figure out a way that I could adapt to remain consistent in moving forward towards my goal. So if I couldn't make it to the gym, I would do breathing exercises. Maybe I would meditate. Maybe I would cold plunge or take a warm shower or do, I have a TENS unit. Like, okay, this is a day that's going to turn more into like a recovery day, because that is just as important as it is training. It's actually it's actually a little bit more important than training sometimes, because training is just telling your body that it's needing to grow the muscle. But the time the muscle gets rebuilt to grow is when you're recovering, not only when you're sleeping. It's when your body's recovering. So you give it the right nutrition, the right sleep and recovery. That's where the muscle's growing. It's not growing as you're lifting weights. So recovery is extremely important. So the days that I couldn't make it to the gym, I would still adapt to remain consistent and focus on recovery. And then how did it change the way that I look at progress? It really smacked the reality of progress is not linear. Bodybuilding, if you're a bodybuilder, you understand this wholeheartedly, that progress is not linear. And MS is a perfect example of that as well, because you'll be dealing with certain things and then you'll be fine. Then you'll be dealing with certain things and then you're fine. That is our MS. That is the type of MS that I have. There are different types of MS. There are different progressions. But what I'm saying is the progress is never linear. You're like, some days you're fine, some days you're not. But you're still progressing to try and be better than MS. So I know those are kind of like broad answers, but hopefully that answers that question. It made sense to me. And the last question that I have is, what message would you give to someone who has MS and feels discouraged about starting or staying consistent with their fitness journey? So I'm going to answer this in two ways. The first way is for those who are discouraged about starting a fitness journey. I'm going to answer this to you by saying that you can't tie your strength to what you can do, but you need to tie it to who you are. So if you have MS and you want to start a fitness journey and you're feeling discouraged about it because you're not sure if you can do it, you don't even, like, you have to try. You have to try, because just showing up says more about your character than any amount of weight that you could lift. That is the real answer, is just showing up says more about you and your character than any amount of weight you could lift. So if you have MS and you want to start a fitness journey, and that even means just doing band exercises, guess what? You're doing it. That is a fitness journey. It doesn't require you to be a bodybuilder. It doesn't require you to be a CrossFit athlete. It doesn't require you to be a Pilates instructor. Fitness is a fitness journey. Okay. We all need modifications and variations and different ways to adapt. It's just one of those things where showing up is literally the best part. It's the hardest part, but it's the most rewarding part. And I will tell you right now, once you start your fitness journey, once you really want to commit, you will realize very quickly that even if it was, or let's say, even if you did like 3 sets, 10 reps of just some bicep band curls or something simple like that, you will feel so much better when you're done. You will feel accomplished. You will feel accomplished. At the end of the day, you'll be like, holy cow, like I did that. Because guess what? You did do it. So if you have MS and you want to start a fitness journey and you're discouraged about it, I understand. I get it. But I'm here to encourage you to try it. Do what you can, because I'll repeat it one more time. Showing up says more about your character than any amount of weight you could ever lift. And I'm going to leave it at that. The other part of that question is for people who have already started their fitness journey and are trying to stay consistent. If there's something I could give, if there's a message I could give to you, it would be adapt. I'm going to go back to my point, adapt to the consistency. So if you already started a fitness journey and you have MS, adapt your consistency. So it goes right back to what I do is if I can't make it to the gym, or I know that I can't do my cardio or something because of my MS, not because I'm using my MS to get out of doing it, but because of my MS, I still adapt in a way to where I'm still making forward progress towards my goal. So if you're having consistency issues because of the MS that you're dealing with, or even anybody with autoimmune, find a way to adapt. If you're not sure where to start, reach out to me. I would love to help you find a way and come up with a plan to adapt, to remain consistent and move forward towards accomplishing the goal that you have set for yourself. That's a wrap. And just remember, everybody's lifting something. Some weights you can see, some you can't, but we're all lifting something.